We're really chuffed to tell you about some vocabulary that's often used in British English. And if you don't know what chuffed means, you will after this podcast. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello, and if you're a new listener to the podcast, you're very, very welcome. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And together with 50 years, that's 50 years of teaching English between us, Reza and I are going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you, mate?
I'm fine. And how you, me old pal?
I'm doing very well, thank you. We're talking about slang today, but first we have a voice message from Melissa from Milan, Italy.
Hi Reza, hi Craig, how are you? I'm so grateful I can send a voice message to you today. I'm Melissa from Milan, Italy, and I'm sending this message because I just discovered you a few days ago and I can't stop listening to you. I'm so happy I found this way to improve my English through you. I'm preparing for an exam, a Cambridge C1 exam. I'm a teacher. I already reached B2 level, so I would like to challenge myself to C1 level now. And so I hope I can improve my English with exercises, of course, and also with you. So thank you so much. It's very hard because I'm pregnant at this time with my third child. So I already have 2 little girls, and it's really, really hard to study and take care of the children as well. But I think I can do it. I really want to challenge myself. And so thank you so much. I really hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
Well, first of all, Melissa, congratulations on being pregnant with your third child. That's very good news. It's so nice to hear good news these days, isn't it?
Yes, Melissa, congratulations. And can I just take the opportunity to say that I have certain words in foreign languages that I just love the sound of. And so I want to share with you that one of my favorite words in the entire world is bambino. I just love that word.
Bambino.
It's a lovely word. It's just a beautiful word. So I'm so happy to hear that you already have 2 bambini and you're about to have another one. I love that word, bambini. What a beautiful word.
And speaking of accents, which your Italian accent was very good, but Melissa, your pronunciation is wonderful. I really, really enjoyed listening to your message, and it was so clear and easy to understand, so well done on your pronunciation. And I also like the expression to challenge myself that you used twice. I think that's a lovely way to say that you're pushing yourself, you have set a goal. Even though you're very busy, obviously, with the family, you still want to improve your English and get to that C1 advanced level. So good luck, and I hope you manage to get there.
Yes, I would say if you did a C1 speaking exam today, from the little extract I've heard, you might well pass.
Yep.
I don't know what your reading, writing and listening is like, but your speaking is really good. As Craig was saying earlier, we agreed that we wouldn't have guessed where you were from because you have no Italian accent at all. It's impossible to guess your nationality. So that's a good sign for your pronunciation.
And I hope that you're speaking to your children in English. Give them a head start, which means before they get to school. I don't know how old your 2 children are, but if you're speaking to them in English, that will give them a huge advantage when they eventually start studying formally for an English exam.
Now, Melissa, sorry to sound picky, but we just want to help. That's what we're here for. There's a couple of little things I noticed that we could improve. You said, I already reached B2 level. and we understand you perfectly. But really, you should use a present perfect there. So you should say, I have already reached B2 level, because you're talking about from the past up to now. So that needs the present perfect. I have already reached.
Well, thank you very much again, Melissa, for sending in your first voice message. And next we have a voice message from a good friend of the show, Andres from Colombia, who has sent us a message before.
Hey mates, this is Andres from Colombia again. I want to start saying thank you very much for accepting my suggestion about making an episode of urban myths and legends. It was amazing when I opened my Spotify and I saw the title of the episode. In that precise moment, I thought, okay, this is my episode. It was great to have my 15 minutes of fame, 1.5 minutes in this case. So thank you very much for doing that. I want to let you know that I looked for a little bit more information about you, and I found that Craig is a co-creator of the La Mansión del Inglés website. And I have to say that I used to use that website for getting material and content for my school assignments and homeworks. So it was amazing to realize that you are involved in that too. And it was amazing as well that you are creating podcasts on Spotify since 2010. That's crazy. So thank you very much, guys, for all your effort. Have a nice
And sadly, Andres' message was cut short. Remember, when you send us a voice message on SpeakPipe, and we'll give you the details at the end of the podcast, you only have 90 seconds. So you need to be careful that you don't get cut off and the end of your message may disappear. So thank you, Andres, for your message. And I'm really pleased that La Mansión del Inglés was able to help you when you were studying English a while ago. Yes, we've been going a long time, since 2001. There's lots of material on the Mansión Inglés website, so mansioningles.com. If you need some help with a homework task or just to study courses for free and other material, go over there, and there's lots of stuff that will help you for free to improve your English.
Did you say 2001? Wow.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Over 20
I feel old, Reza.
Wow. That's brilliant. Not many English teaching websites have lasted that long. That's incredible.
Yep, we're still going. We're still there.
Going strong. Yep. Yeah. Have lasted that long. I said present perfect. And indeed, Andres, I'm sorry to point out a little mistake of yours. You said these words. You are creating material since you are creating. But you should say you have been creating. Present perfect, because it's from the past up to now, because the website is still going strong. So from the past up to now, you have been creating.
And the episode that Andres mentioned about urban myths and legends, and Andres suggested the theme of that podcast. If you want to listen, go to inglespodcast.com/408, Urban Myths and Legends. Just one small thing, Andres, you used the word homework, but you added an S. Now, with the word homework, it's uncountable. It's an uncountable noun, so there's no S on homework. I have some homework, or I have a lot of homework. No S.
Andres, I really like the way you began your message with mates. Hey, mates. Because this is exactly what we're talking about today. The word mate is a kind of unofficial word. In other words, a slang word for friend. So we're talking today about slang words, and you open with a slang word. Hey mates, you said. Well done.
And mate is often used in the UK in British slang and also in Australia. We spoke about Australian slang back in episode 409. So inglespodcast.com/409 if you want to learn some Australian slang. And this episode deals specifically with British slang.
Yes, so some words in our list may have other possible slang alternatives, but we're focusing only on the British slang. Sometimes slang is used in more than one country. We just said that mate is also used in Australia, but it's not used in America. People don't say hey mate in America. They do in Australia, they do in Britain, they do in Ireland. I'm not sure about, for example, in Jamaica. Do they say hey mate in Jamaica?
I don't know. I know they say it in New Zealand, but I'm not sure about Jamaica.
But they don't in North America. It's not typical there. So we're focusing on British slang words today.
And our first one is a slang word for food, the thing that you eat, food. What you may hear in the UK or by a British speaker is grub, G-R-U-B. It actually has two meanings. Now, don't confuse them, because one meaning of grub is a slang word for food. Do you fancy some grub? Shall we get some grub? Shall we eat something? But it can also mean the larva of an insect. For example, when you go fishing, you might put some grubs, which are like small worms, on the end of your hook to go fishing. So you don't want to be eating grubs that turn into insects. Grub is a slang word for any type of food.
And as Craig just said, you would eat probably, if you were a bird or something like that, more than one grub. You would eat grubs, plural. Whereas our slang word is uncountable. It never has an S. Grub, food, there's never an S at the end.
And a common collocation you might actually see as well as hear is pub grub, which is the food you eat in British pubs. You can also say nosh for food, N-O-S-H. That's a common word. That comes from Yiddish originally. It's naschen in Yiddish, which means to nibble. If you nibble, then you eat small pieces of food. You can also say to snack. So to nosh, or to have some nosh, it can be a verb or a noun, means to eat something.
I didn't know that about the origins. That's really interesting. All right, the next word on our list is something that is essential in everyday life. You would be in trouble if you didn't go to the toilet. So as you can imagine, we've invented many ways of saying go to the toilet in British English, and I'm sure in other countries you've got plenty of slang words as well. One is bog, B-O-G. Now, the original meaning of bog is an area of very wet land. So it's not a lake or anything like that, but there's a lot of water in this land. So you can imagine walking on it, your feet are going to sink into the land. It's going to make a noise, it's kind of go... that kind of sound, very unpleasant. The kind of sound you might hear in the toilet. So,
oh, Reza, that's toilet humour.
It truly is. So bog is one slang word for toilet.
Of course, you can also be bogged down with work, which means you're sinking into the ground because you have so much work. So there's a phrasal verb with the word bog, to be bogged down. Or you could say loo. That's a very common slang word in the UK for toilet, L-O-O. Excuse me, where's the loo?
Another one which is perhaps silly to your ears, listeners, but it is very common, is little boy's room or little girl's room, depending on the sex. So if I am asking for the toilet, I don't know where it is, I'll say, could you tell me where the little boy's room is? And if a woman asks, she will ask for the little girl's room.
I would say a difference, though, because if I was in a restaurant and I wanted to be polite, I would be more likely to use, excuse me, where's the little boy's room than where's the bog. I think in the bog or the loo, if you're with friends in a pub, it's a lot more informal. But if you're speaking to a stranger and the relationship isn't close with the person you're speaking to, the little boy's room is much more polite and socially acceptable. And speaking of restaurants, one thing you can order in a British restaurant is sausages. Sausages. Be careful of the pronunciation of sausages. And the slang word is bangers. B-A-N-G-E-R-S. Question, Reza, for you. Are they called bangers because you need to prick them with a fork? That means put a fork inside the skin of the sausage. And if you don't, they go bang. Is that the reason?
I'd never thought of that, but I do prick them with a fork when I make them.
Otherwise they explode.
They do tend to. Is that the origin?
I have no idea. I don't know. Curious.
You've got me thinking there.
Do you eat sausages often?
I do, yeah. I think it's one of the best things that the British make. Probably most countries make their own version of sausages, but British bangers are really good.
What do you prefer, pork or beef?
I like pork, although I eat beef occasionally, and I also go a bit exotic sometimes and have lamb sausages, lamb bangers. But that's not a typical British thing, but I like that as well. That's more typical of the Middle East, isn't it?
It is. I don't think I've ever had a lamb banger, but yeah, I'd love to try one.
Oh, you can get them in Valencia. If you go to an Arab butcher, you can get lamb sausages, lamb bangers.
But not pork bangers.
Not pork ones in the Arab butcher, no, but beef ones, sure.
Now, with your bangers in a British restaurant, it's quite common to ask for some potatoes or spuds in British slang, S-P-U-D-S. Now, I know this is one of your favourite dishes, isn't it? Sausages and mashed potatoes. How do you say that in slang?
Bangers and mash. A classic British meal. Bangers and mash. Simple, but if the mashed potatoes good and the sausages are good, you can't beat bangers and mash.
With or without baked beans?
For me, without. What about for you?
I like it with, because then the sauce of the baked beans mixes with the mashed potato. And if you are buying bangers, then you do need money. What's the slang for money in the UK, Reza?
Dosh. That's the most common one.
And speaking of dosh, in the UK, obviously the currency is the pound, the British pound. That's the money you use. The slang for pound is quid, Q-U-I-D. So £5, 5 quid. £10, 10 quid. Can I have 10 quid? No, I haven't got any dosh on me.
Although there is actually even another way to say 5 quid. You could say simply a fiver, another slang word. So in British English, a fiver is 5 quid, £5. And for 10 quid, £10, a tenner, T-E-N-N-E-R.
Reza, can I borrow some dosh?
Oh, I'm sorry, Craig, I can't give you any. I'm skint.
You're skint. What does that mean?
I'm broke. I have no money. Skint. S-K-I-N-T.
Well, that's perfectly understandable on a teacher's salary that you're skint. I'm usually skint as well. Moving from money and sausages and bangers on to something else, if you want to describe an attractive person, you could say that they are fit, F-I-T. Now, you probably know that you can use the word fit to be physically in shape, to be healthy, but you can also use it as an adjective to describe an attractive person. That guy's really fit, or she's really fit. She looks good, she's attractive.
Don't get it confused with the original meaning of fit. It depends on the context. If I said to you, she goes to the gym a lot, she's really fit, well, I'm talking about the fact that her body's in good shape because I said she goes to the gym. But if I said to you, whoa, look at that girl over there, Craig, she looks gorgeous. And Craig says, yeah, she's fit. Well, we don't know if she goes to the gym or not. We're saying she's attractive. So from the context, you get which meaning of the word fit that you're using.
And that can be used for a man or a woman. Now, if you do meet a fit person and you would like to take the relationship to the next level, you might want to kiss that person. Now, the slang word for kissing when I was growing up in London, and probably for you too in Belfast, Reza, is to snog, S-N-O-G. To snog. Do you remember your first snog?
I do.
Me too.
I do.
Yeah.
I was, I think, 11 years old.
Wow, you started early.
Yeah, well, I say snog. Well, I met Stephanie briefly for about 10 seconds.
Wasn't my sister, was it?
No, I don't think so.
It's my sister's name.
Did your sister used to have a Belfast accent? No, it wasn't her. I met Stephanie in a bush, and for about 5 seconds we snogged, yeah.
In a bush?
Yeah.
A small tree?
Yeah, we had to go into the bush because there were a few other friends there and we didn't want them to see us. So we said, let's go into this bush here, went in the bush, had a quick snog, and that was it.
Well, I started later. I think my first snog was when I was 14 or 15, and it was in a telephone box. You know those red telephone boxes?
Wow.
Well, it used to be in the UK. Obviously now everybody has a mobile phone, but yeah, I met a girl and we went for a walk and we started talking and we went into a telephone box and started snogging.
Oh, wow. So I like that. I like the sound of that. Could you say that you pulled this girl? Did you get off with her?
Yes, I got off with her in the telephone box. So to get off with someone is to start a romantic relationship, to start kissing, to be successful with a new partner, to get off with someone, or to pull someone, P-U-L-L.
In Spanish, that would be ligar, by the way. That's your slang in Spanish for it.
And to be on the pull is to be out looking for that situation.
Now, if you really like the person that you pulled and you develop the relationship, you might end up making this person your other half. By that, we mean your husband or wife. So when a person refers to his or her husband or wife, they say, my other half.
I really like the Spanish translation for that, media naranja. Yeah, I think that's lovely. And then after you're married and you have your other half, you might find during the marriage that you have some problems. What's the slang word for problems, Reza?
Yes, marriages have been known to cause a little bit of hassle from time to time. No, not from time to time. Quite a lot, let's be honest. There are good times, there are bad times. But there's going to be hassle. Hassle. Hassle, problem, or problems.
Having your house repainted can also be hassle, or these days traveling with the COVID pandemic, there's hassle at the airport, things that you don't really want to do, but things that happen, sometimes it's hassle.
You spoke about the airport, Craig. At the airport, they might ask you to open your suitcase because they reckon there's something dodgy about it. What's dodgy?
Dodgy, D-O-D-G-Y, is an adjective that means suspicious. So maybe you've got a dodgy package or a dodgy bag, or even it could be something that's not working properly. You could say that the wheels on your suitcase are dodgy. They're not working properly. So it can mean suspicious. It can mean not working properly, not something you can't trust, especially a person. A dodgy person is someone that you can't trust.
Now, we used a word right at the beginning of this episode. I don't know if you remember, listeners. We said chuffed, that we were chuffed to be here. C-H-U-F-F-E-D. And that means happy. So if you're chuffed, you're very happy.
I'm really chuffed because I'm launching a new course soon. So I'm really happy that I'm going to start a new conversation course.
Oh, what level is it aimed at?
It's aimed at B2 and above, and it's going to start on the 10th of May. Now, you may be listening to this after the 10th of May, 2022, but if you're listening before the 10th of May, go over to englishmasterclass.net. There'll be a link in the show notes at inglespodcast.com/414, and all the information is over there. 12 classes on Zoom, and there'll be a small group of students improving their speaking. So I'm really chuffed to launch this course because it's the course I've wanted to do for a long, long time. So I hope to see you there.
Who knows, you might get some AIRC414 signing up for that. People who really love the podcast. We call them AIRC Alcoholics, AIRC414, AIRC is Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig. If you're an AIRC414 and you can't get enough of Craig, sign up to the course and you can get a bit more of them. But let's talk about alcohol, not AIRC414, but alcohol. An alcoholic drink is booze. It's uncountable, so you never say like 1 or 2 or 3 booze is. No, you can't put an S at the end. It's uncountable. So an alcoholic drink or alcoholic drinks are booze. For example, the typical thing to say is, we're having a party tonight. Oh, we'd better buy some booze. Yeah, we better buy some drinks for the guests. Buy some booze.
And where do you go to drink your alcohol? You probably go to a pub in the UK or a boozer, B-O-O-Z-E-R, your local pub. Now, that's very common to hear in the UK. Hey, let's go to the boozer for a pint of beer, or are you coming to the boozer after work, or I'll meet you down the boozer. Very, very common in the UK.
A boozer has another meaning. It can also be a person who drinks a lot. In other words, an alcoholic. We're not talking about alcoholics now. We're talking about people who drink too much alcohol. If you're an alcoholic, you could be referred to as a boozer as well. So it's either the place, the pub, or a person who drinks a lot.
And don't confuse boozer with a B with geezer with a G. Geezer. Geezer is a slang word for a man. And there are many. You can say bloke. I met this bloke in the boozer. Or chap. C-H-A-P. He's a lovely chap. He's a very nice chap. Or a little bit more formal, fellow. F-E-L-L-O-W. What a lovely fellow Reza is. He's not a dodgy geezer. He's a lovely fellow.
Yeah, very interesting the way Craig pronounced the word fellow there. He said it the formal way, but a lot of people would pronounce it fella, wouldn't they?
Especially in the north of England, yeah. I met this fella.
And they might even write it F-E-L-L-A to show that they're being informal. So this fella in the pub comes up to me, this fella, F-E-L-L-A, fellow or fella.
Another typically English slang word for a boss, someone who is in charge of you, someone you work for, is gov, G-U-V. That is short for governor, although you might actually hear governor. Hey, governor, how much is this? Or hey, governor, can I have some more money or more dosh? Hey, governor, you haven't paid me my dosh this week. You haven't given me my salary. Or you might just hear in the street, all right, gov? Although I think, Reza, this is more for working class people. Would you agree? People working in an open market, for example, in a street market, or someone selling things in the street might use gov.
Yeah, and its origins are more the southeast of England, although it is used in other parts of the UK now. But above all, I identify it with working class southeast of England, London.
Yeah, that word is very familiar to me, being from the south. Now, if you drink too much booze, what might happen is that you vomit. And the slang word for vomit is to spew, S-P-E-W. I spewed. It's a verb and it's regular. Can you think of another way to say to spew or to vomit?
Yes, there's the phrasal verb, so that's a verb with a preposition, throw up. So I felt nauseous, I drank too much, I wanted to throw up. I wanted to spew. I wanted to vomit. Now, we thought of a lot of other slang words for vomit, but remember, we're concentrating on British slang words, yeah? So Americans wouldn't say spew, but there are other international slang words, but these ones are specifically British. Spew and throw up.
Another typically British slang word is mug, M-U-G. Now, we know that's something that you can drink tea out of. You can drink tea or coffee from a cup or from a mug, which is bigger. But if you call someone a mug, or if you say that a person is a mug, that means they're gullible. They're very susceptible to being tricked or fooled. If you're a Spanish speaker, engañar is to trick or to fool someone, to cheat someone. So you might hear, oh, I paid too much for that booze. I was a right mug. I was a complete idiot, a total fool to pay so much money. Or someone might say, I'm no mug. I'm not going to pay those prices.
I've just thought of a variation, Craig. I've just had a flashback right back to my childhood. My mum would use a word similar to mug, but not exactly the same, when she was referring to herself. Specifically herself as the gullible person, but she was doing it to try and make me feel bad. She'd say, oh, all you ever want is money. You come in here, have your dinner, you ask me for money, you go out again. I don't know where you are, but Muggins here. Muggins here cooks your food, gives you the money. So when a person's criticizing themselves, it's not for other people. You're saying like, I'm a mug and I know it. This guy, this geezer's taking advantage of me. Muggins here. I'm Muggins. Have you ever heard that?
I have, yeah. So your mum might say to you, Reza, you give me no dosh, I cook you bangers and mash, and I'm the muggins.
Exactly.
Now, after you've eaten your bangers and mash, you might feel like a short sleep to close your eyes. And that is kip in British slang, K-I-P. So you can use it as a verb, I'm going to kip for a few minutes, or to have a kip. So it collocates with the verb have when it's a noun, to have a kip. Or you could say 40 winks, to grab 40 winks is to have a short sleep. Are you going to have a kip today?
I don't think I will, because I slept a lot yesterday. Yesterday I slept in. That means sleep more than you normally would. So I'm okay today. Now, our last word is one I've always liked. I've no idea where it comes from, but I love it. Chop chop. Chop chop. C-H-O-P hyphen C-H-O-P. Chop chop. And it's nothing to do with cutting things with a knife. It simply means quickly. And it's always used to express the need to hurry. So when you're waiting for someone and you really would like them to hurry up, you might say, come on, chop, chop, we're going to be late for the bus, or the concert starts in 2 minutes. Chop, chop, come on.
Come on, chop, chop, Reza. We need to finish this podcast. We've been speaking for over 30 minutes. I think you've got one or two sentences that use some of the words we've explained.
Yes, let's test our listeners. We'll give you a few seconds to think about it. I'm going to tell you a sentence with lots of slang in it. How would you say it in a more standard kind of English? Here's the sentence. This fella has had too much nosh and is going to spew. He needs to find a loo, chop chop. I'll repeat that. This fella has had too much nosh and is going to spew. He needs to find a loo, chop chop. So, Craig, what do you make of that?
Well, this fella, we said that fella or fellow is another word for man, a bloke, and too much nosh. Now, nosh was the slang word for food. So he had too much food and he's going to spew, he's going to be sick, he's going to vomit. And what was the loo?
The loo was the toilet. So he needs to find a toilet or a bathroom. Chop, chop. Quickly, because he's going to spew. He better get in there quick.
And I think maybe he could just pop into the boozer and ask to use the loo in the boozer. But now it's your turn to practice your English. We hope you've found this list of slang useful. Please let us know if you want us to do more of these slang words. And send us a voice message. You can do that by going to speakpipe.com. That's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Remember, you can see these words listed on the webpage at inglespodcast.com/414. Reza, if people prefer contacting us by email, how can they do that?
You could write to either me or Craig. You could find Craig writing to craig@inglespodcast.com or me, belfastreza@gmail.com.
And as I mentioned before, the Mansion Ingles website has lots of free courses, listening exercises, vocabulary material, all sorts of things to help you with your English. And if you prefer to buy a course, go to store.mansioningles.net, where you will see a range of courses for sale.
As always, we'd like to thank those people who help us by supporting the podcast on the Patreon scheme. That's Patreon, Patreon. And what they do is they donate money for as little as $1.20 per month, because 20 cents is necessary to pay the VAT tax. And as a thank you, they get instant access to all the recent audio transcriptions. If you're interested, why not have a look at the link in the show notes? It's www.patreon.com/Ingles podcast. And if you'd like to sign up, we'd be very, very grateful.
And before we go out the door today, we'd like to welcome and say thank you to our latest Patreon supporters who have joined us this month. And they are Christina. Thank you, Christina. Jesus Antonio Royo Lopez. Thank you very much, both of you, and all of our lovely Patreon supporters. What's next week, Reza?
Next week we got something juicy, something about all the dodgy stuff the royals have got up to. Scandals in the British royal family.
Very, very dodgy, and lots of hassle we're going to talk about next week connected to the family of royals. If you enjoyed this podcast, if you have been chuffed by what we've spoken about today, please tell your friends. And until next week, thank you so much for joining us. It's goodbye from Reza.
And it's goodbye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.